excellent day for an exorcism.
Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast.
I'm John. Fuck capitalism!
I'm Lindsay, trying to write horror novels because I was a weird kid.
M. The whole world is a urinal.
Fuck the prime time, bitch!
How? What?
I'm shivering. A leprechaun. Sorry.
Oh.
It's okay. It's what I call a cold opening.
Oh!
Hello. Welcome to Just Another Horror Podcast. I'm John.
I'm Lindsay.
I'm M.
And you're welcome, guys, for this gem that I pulled out of a sewer. It is 1980's Alligator. I don't know who is in this movie. I've never seen these people before or since.
Robert Forster, who's actually an Oscar winner.
Oh, wow.
He won Best Supporting Actor for something.
Yeah, I looked up the actress because I thought I saw her in They Live, but it was not Meg Foster. It was somebody else. Mm-hmm. So, Lindsay, what's this movie about?
A pet baby alligator is flushed down a toilet and survives in the city sewers. 12 years later, it grows to an enormous size thanks to a diet of discarded laboratory dogs injected with growth hormones. Now humans have entered the menu.
Have either of you two ever heard of this before?
Only when you've talked about it.
Uh-huh.
Same.
You've seen the limo scene, though, before this.
No.
I saw it only because you showed it to me.
Oh, right. I haven't seen this. I watched it with my granddad when I was growing up. He loved monster movies. I even saw the sequel. It's a bunch of people from New Orleans with New Orleans accents hunting an alligator in the sewer. You think this is bad?
I mean, I do love Cajuns.
This movie is... David is the cop. Marissa is the alligator expert. And then we have the chief. Chief Clark.
And we've got Ramon the alligator.
Right. Ramon is the name of the alligator, and I knew when they gave it a name that it was probably going to be someone else in the movie's, like, pet later on.
Right,
and it turns out that's exactly what happened.
Also, I guess he was named after Ramon Santiago, like an artist, and you see his posters of his art throughout the movie.
Oh, neat. That's cool. The alligator looks like shit. It looks
like a Muppet.
It looks so bad. The scene that I was rolling at was when it came out of the sewer. Mm-hmm. I thought that was the funniest goddamn thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't think any alligator, even at that big, is going to be that strong to go through concrete and everything.
How
through
is
the
he?
Road.
How is he going up? Like how?
Yeah, there's no way.
Have you ever seen footage of alligators underwater?
Yeah.
Like what they look like underwater? They just have like their legs and their arms spread out and they're just like floating.
Yeah, they look like a raft.
So that's what he must have been like down in the sewer.
I guess?
I don't know.
He was walking around a lot. Like, he chased people all over the fucking sewer.
At one
He
point,
would
he looked
hide
like
when
floating.
people were coming.
He looked like he was, like, floating across not floating on water, like...
There were scenes where he was floating and, like, his head was just above the water.
No,
and that
there was the one part where he was, like, chasing, and it looked like he was just, like...
Oh, yeah. It was very Jaws 3-esque. He's not moving. He's
glides.
He's just being pushed.
I said he glides.
Yeah.
Did you know Bryan Cranston did special effects for this? Do you know Bryan Cranston? He was Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle. Like, yeah, he did special effects for this movie.
And then he was like, I think I'd rather be an actor than do this. Yeah, well, maybe this was the only time.
Yeah.
So there actually is kind of a complicated plot to this, sort of. It's the mayor is paying or keeping secret, or both, this guy who's working on dogs. He's abducting dogs off the streets.
Yeah, these poor dogs.
Injecting them with, like, growth hormones, and then dissecting them and throwing their discarded bodies in the sewer.
It's horrible.
Well, the mayor's
guy
not
that's
doing
like
that.
fetching them for them.
Right,
is
but
like,
the mayor knows
well,
about
what
it.
about like a cat or a parrot? He's like, no, puppies. They have to be puppies.
Yeah, not even dogs, puppies. And then he, like, passively is like, we cut their larynx so they don't scream. And I'm like, this guy's a fucking asshole.
That is horrible. What animal cruelty.
Oh, fuck. Like, at that part of the movie, I'm like, this movie is fucking definitely part of its time, for one thing, but holy shit.
There weren't a lot of animal cruelty laws in 1980, were there?
Probably not.
That's when Cannibal Holocaust was made.
So no.
So probably not, yeah. They find a body part in the sewer, which I think is an arm.
Well, first Marissa at the beginning gets the alligator from the
Oh shit, I forgot about
local
that.
hillbilly.
Yeah, there's alligator
in the
wrestling.
beginning, they're like wrestling an alligator, and then she
The guy
buys
gets
the
his
baby
leg.
alligator for a pet.
Guy gets his leg bit off.
Have you ever been to an alligator wrestling thing?
Of course not. I have been in New Orleans. I went on a like a gator tour kind of thing.
I went to an alligator wrestling thing. It was at a gun show. Big surprise there.
Wait, an alligator? Like a person was wrestling an alligator?
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking stupid.
There were
Yeah.
guns for sale, RVs for sale, and a guy was wrestling an alligator. That is Western Pennsylvania.
Did the alligator have his jaw tied shut?
He had his... something was tied. I can't remember if it was back or front legs. He had no chance. No chance.
Right, because that's how it's set up. That's just fucking ridiculous.
It is.
I remember being bored, because I'm like, this isn't a fight. I want to see this guy get bit,
For-
asshole.
It's just the guy beating up in the alligator.
He's just
Yeah,
rolling, and
poor
the alligator's just like, fuck, get
It's
off
like
me,
at,
man.
Like at rodeos when they tie the
Yeah.
balls and oh
Yeah,
my
it's
god.
horrible.
How do people think that other people are tough for doing that? Like, they're...
I know.
babies.
Yeah. I'm so glad things aren't quite as bad as they used to be. I mean, you don't have like all the bullfighting in Spain. Like they hardly have any of that anymore.
Right, but that's what the former generations are longing for.
Oh, I know.
Shit
you
like
know,
that.
I've been
Make
thinking-
America great
Yeah,
again.
right.
It's like been going in a, I mean, better direction with animal cruelty and stuff, and
Yeah.
I feel like I could see it definitely. People just go in the opposite direction eventually here,
that's
and that'd be
what they-
terrible.
Do you
That's
think
what
the
they do.
great in Make America Great Again is said, great?
Yeah, that sounds more accurate.
On the Fundy Fridays podcast, they call it the MAGA crowd. How old is Marissa at the beginning, by the way?
Oh, boy, I don't know.
I'd guess like 10ish. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking 12. I was thinking maybe
Okay,
12,
yeah.
right?
She
Which
seems
makes her
smart.
12 years later makes her 24 years old.
Right.
Just okay for future.
And
reference.
he does call her kid. And she's like, I'm
not a kid.
24.
And then he's like, anybody younger than me's a kid.
That is a true statement, but don't sleep with them.
Yeah.
Guy. Oh, it's 1980.
We'll get into that later.
At least she wasn't 17, because I'm sure that was in a ton of movies back then.
And then they keep making fun of his hair the whole time.
That's why I shaved my head. I watched it last night and went, oh my god, I'm that guy.
Well, the hair plugs, I think, are what are the really bad part. Like, it wouldn't look bad if he did just shave it
Whatever
off.
was up here, right here, kept moving.
Because you could tell it was... yeah, that just didn't look good.
But I think it wasn't supposed to. He's supposed to look like shit, so...
I don't know if this is true. I read or heard somewhere that he had just gotten hair plugs and they, like, just wrote it into the movie.
Just to make fun
Like,
of him.
yeah.
I like that. That's pretty cool.
I was fine with it. I like this character sometimes.
Yeah.
There are times that he does things where I'm like, don't fucking do that. What are you doing? Like at the restaurant when he gets all upset and he's like, get out of here, basically. Just
Yeah.
tells her to go away. And then the next day he's just like, I'm just going to walk into your house and say I'm sorry and everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Whatever, movie. That's not how it works. That's not how it should work.
Yeah, wasn't he just like, well, whatever you can think of, I'm sorry for it. Like, he didn't even have, like, an actual
Yeah.
apology.
So this movie tries to do a lot of things. It tries to be a scary monster movie. It's not scary, and the monster looks fake. It tries to have a romance going on, but the romance isn't believable. It tries to have some drama going on with the mayor, but you barely see them in the movie, and you don't even know the mayor's involved until he's already being eaten by the alligator. So it falls flat everywhere. But I still fucking love it. I can't help it. Alligator gets flushed down the toilet for no reason.
Because
Well, I know,
No.
that dad was
pooped in the
terrible.
dad's
Like,
laundry.
what's wrong with him? Like,
It-
it's like he just hates animals.
It pooped in his laundry.
Did you see the sadistic look on his face when he was putting it in the toilet, though? He was so happy he was
Like,
going to
that's
kill this
so
animal.
horrible. Like, there's no reason you can't, like, rehome this thing. You don't need to put it alive, flush it down the toilet.
Well,
I agree.
he's responsible for the murders of all of these people that come up later.
Yeah.
This alligator grows and is eating people, and they're finding body parts in the sewage runoff or whatever. Some of them are in like the water, some of them are in the sewage runoff. They also find dead animals, and they notice that animals are disappearing. So they're trying to put this together, and they're like, who's killing these people? Or is it related to the animals at all? And finally, David decides to go down into the sewer to take a look. And he takes this
Oh, well-
kid with him named Kelly.
first he went and bought a dog. That's how I think he ended up putting that all together.
I think
because he bought a dog from the guy who was supplying the lab with the dogs. Which, by the way, he bought this dog at the beginning for $15.90, which is the equivalent of about $60 today.
I think he bought his own dog back.
Why?
Because he says, I had a dog that looked exactly like this outside and it disappeared. That's when I was like, oh, what's going on here? Because I was like, why is he buying that? It's because it's his dog.
There was that lady that she had a puppy go missing, and then it was back, and it was...
But it was like 5 times the size.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but she's like, it looks just like my dog.
I think he got to his dog before they could do anything to it. It was his way of getting in, too. To maybe do a little...
Was he trying to investigate at that point, or was he just trying to get
I think
a
both.
dog?
No, I don't think he was just trying to get a dog. He wanted to get in there. He wanted a reason to get in there. He wanted to poke around.
Before...
It's before we know, but he's in the middle of an investigation at this point.
Of the dogs?
And the bodies. He's finding dog parts and bodies in the sewer. This is a big deal by the time the movie starts. As soon as it starts, it's already been going on.
Alright.
Like, they don't know if somebody is down there killing people, or somebody's, like, dropping off body parts, or if it's an animal, or what. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah, they have no idea. They just keep finding parts.
I thought he got a dog before. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, and that's why the guy who's selling it to him is so nervous, too. Because he's like, he knows this is his dog, doesn't he? There's also a tabloid reporter. Is it a tabloid reporter or a newspaper reporter?
I don't know if it's tabloid or a newspaper. I don't know.
Either way, like, this is very 70s, right? Reporters are evil. In the 80s, it was psychiatrists and psychologists. They were evil. Therapists were evil.
But even, like, everybody was mean to the cops, too. The cops were all or the kids were assholes to the cops. And
oh, yeah, I was yelling ACAB the whole movie. I was like, this gator, he's fucking ACAB. He's eating cops, left and right.
So where are we?
So, okay, he's taking Kelly down into the sewer with him.
Did we mention how he had like a partner that had died before and people didn't really
what
want
I was about to.
okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay. He only takes Kelly down because he asks everybody at the station to go with him, and they don't want to because he had a partner die. And when you find out later how he died, I don't get this. Cops are fucking idiots. So, I don't really like David until he gets fired from the force. And then I'm like, all right, now I can start liking you. But him and Kelly go down, and Kelly's kind of like, a kid.
Young.
Doesn't really take anything seriously. And everything he says, he's going to die. He says things like, can't wait to get home. I kind of don't like it down here. Blah, blah, blah. Just all this stuff where you're like, oh, he's dead.
Is that how you know they're going to die?
Yeah. He's just some...
Because they're looking forward to things.
Yeah.
In movies like this where side characters are talking about, can't wait to get home. Oh, I'm not going to die. Ha, ha, ha. I'm not dead. Ha, ha.
Yeah.
You're dead. You're dead. That's why they write it like that. So they're walking around. Kelly pinches the guy's ass. God, I hate the 80s. So there's a scene in Videodrome where...
Equal opportunity harassment.
Right. There's a scene in Videodrome where James Woods is walking down a hallway and he just grabs a woman's ass and just walks. And the woman turns around and is like, ah. Wow. And I'm like, fuck the 80s. And then I see this and I'm like, everyone's pinching everyone's ass all over the place. Mm-hmm. I would not go to work if anyone ever... Listen, co-workers, if you're listening, you want me to not come in anymore, pinch my ass once. You will never see me again.
I know, it's like sexual harassment was so accepted back then. Like, they didn't even think of it as sexual harassment.
Yeah, they didn't even think that's what it was.
Even into the 90s, I would say. Like,
imagine, like, going into a room and somebody was like, they complain that you pinched their ass, and you're like, I just pinched their ass, what's the problem? Yeah. Can you imagine saying that?
Yeah.
Back then, the boss would be like, look, I know you only touched your boob for 15 seconds, groping it. I get it.
Just apologize to him for making a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm. Tell him you're sorry that you put your boob in his hand for 15 seconds.
Also, there was one line where he was walking down by the sewage plant, and he's got a leg in a bag, and he's like, I'm going to open a spare parts shop.
Oh, that was kind of funny. It had some funny moments, for sure.
There was the dude who was talking about, we found a toe, but we figured out who the body was. And he was like, really? This tabloid reporter just sucks. The reason I'm asking is because, like... He's just asking questions, right? They're not evil questions, are they? Well, some of them are. Like, he's trying to make the guy feel bad that his partner died. Mm-hmm. Were reporters ever like that? Now they are, because they're like, we have to get somebody to click on our story. We will literally do anything to do it. That's how we get paid. But
I mean, they're just like people. Some are assholes and
right.
Some aren't. He was smoking in a hospital, though, which I
Miss.
admire.
I know you miss.
I miss it.
Yeah.
God, if I could just light up a ciggy in the smoking section of an Eaton Park.
He gets eaten by the alligator, and David basically goes into shock. He ends up waking up in a hospital, and he's immediately like, I gotta go get that fucking alligator. And the reporter hears him talking about this, and is like, I'm gonna go down there and check. And he gets eaten.
But he gets a lot of pictures while
Yes,
it's
he
happening.
does. Now, the beginning of Jaws 2, there are 2 divers in the ocean taking pictures of the sunken ship from the first movie. And the shark comes, and they're click, 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 as they're getting eaten. And the first shot that the guy gives to the chief is a picture of the shark's eye. And that's how he knows there's a shark. And then there's teeth. And I'm looking at these pictures of the alligator, and its eye, and its teeth. And I'm like, that's so blatant!
Right, yeah.
Oh, boy.
What year was Jaws made?
The year
Jaws
before
was
this, right?
75. Jaws 2 was 78. So, yes, it was 2 years before this. Yep. There's also somebody that comes in... what's his name? Colonel Brock, maybe? The guy who comes in to kill the animal. But he's barely in the movie.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, the big game hunter.
Yeah.
The asshole.
Oh, he was weird.
He was a douchebag.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to be like a mix of Quint, but also what's weird is in part 3 of Jaws, there are 2 big game hunters who show up and are the exact same kind of guy this is. So these movies are just the same fucking movies over and over again.
I feel like it was really just kind of on the coattails.
Grizzly was another one. Snow Beast was another one. There's a ton of them. So that's exactly what this is. They try to flush out the alligator. So they send all these police officers down.
He met Dr. Kendall,
Oh, right.
who said that there could not be an alligator of that size in the
Right, yeah.
sewer. And gave him a book. And then he finds out later she wrote the book.
And then he was like, hey, I know her.
He was like, oh, maybe she does actually know things.
Ugh, it's because she's a woman, isn't it? It's what it is.
She was wrong about this, though.
She was wrong, yep.
I mean,
You know,
how often?
who could predict?
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
like,
The hormones in the
well,
lab and the
yeah,
testing.
she should have
and
been
the-
like, well, if there were dogs in there
Yeah.
with, like, growth hormones being sent down.
and
then,
if we're eating said
yeah,
dogs.
then it could happen.
Okay, so after he meets her, that's when they go down, and they're trying to drive it out, because now they have proof of it, and she sees the proof, and she's like, look, I was wrong. She apologizes and tries to help them out.
Oh, when they're trying to flush the alligator out of the sewer, the SWAT team shows up in an actual mail truck. It's a mail truck. It doesn't have doors on the front. It is a mail truck that just says SWAT on the back.
Yep.
It's amazing. That's my son pointed out. He's like, "Why are they driving a mail truck?"
That's hilarious. I didn't notice that.
It's good. No doors. They're just hanging. They're in their SWAT uniform. Like SWAT
Yeah.
needs to be a little covert, right? No, it's like
Madison, I guess his name is... What's his actual name? That's his last name.
Detective David Madison.
David. I'm just going to go David. He starts digging a little bit more, and that's when he starts figuring out things like this alligator probably ate all these dogs, and where's this? He's starting to go up the ladder a little bit, and he's getting too close to the mayor and somebody else, some other rich guy.
Slade. Slade Laboratories or whatever owns.
Right.
That's the guy who's having the wedding. His daughter's getting married.
Right.
Slade is friends with the mayor.
Yeah.
That's how it gets close to the mayor. I don't think the mayor really has anything else to do with it except that
He knows it, and he's fine with it, and that's why he gets fired.
Does he know it? Does he, or just he
They all know it. They all know it.
that they're doing this to the dogs?
Mhm.
Okay.
And now they know and they're like, we have to fire him because he's getting too close. So they fire him, and he doesn't really care. He's like, all right. I don't think you want to be a cop anyway. But he still does the work, which is Jaws 2, when Chief Brody gets fired and still hunts the shark.
He starts to do the work after he finds out that another cop was killed.
Right. Which is, again,
Or
Jaws
the
2.
reporter, or the
Because
reporter
someone
was
else
killed.
gets killed after he gets fired, and he's like, my God, this is just Jaws 2. This is all this movie is Jaws 2.
Yeah,
The
it comes out
alligator
of the
comes
sugar.
out of the sewer.
And the one kid sees it and goes to his mom to tell her about it, and she's on the phone and is like, "Oh, stop taking making so much." That is so 80s, so 80s. The mom in the kitchen not giving a shit about her
Yeah.
kids.
They're out in the street. There's a giant animal out there, and she's like, "You better get in here before dinner time." And that's it, and shuts the door and just leaves him out there to the alligator.
And the kid apparently thinks he can save everyone from the alligator. Like, he gets a knife or something, right? And goes out.
Oh,
to
yeah,
try
yeah.
to...
Oh, yeah, that's right. He grabbed a knife.
Like, I would just be staying in my apartment there. I wouldn't be leaving to go back out to the alligator.
Well, you know, the kid wants to be a hero.
Right.
We were trying to describe it earlier. You have to imagine the sewer. In order to get out, you have to climb that ladder and push the manhole open, but somehow this alligator manages to push it open. So is it standing on its hind legs?
It had to have been.
It breaks through the whole concrete sidewalk.
Right, but the sidewalk and the sewer aren't this close to each other.
So it's like it climbed the
It
ladder.
had to either climb the ladder or stand on its hind legs and push. There's no other way it could have got out.
Well, how big is it? 40 feet or whatever? It stood on its hind legs.
Sure it did. I had to have. There's no other way.
And then it must give them massive strength, too, to be able to go through a whole road like that.
Because we all know that alligators are the most hyper-aggressive animals on Earth and will, like, break through shit to chase down things they want to eat. They don't just sit there and let them fall into the water and then
Only
get
alligators that are pumped full of weird hormones and testy things.
them. Okay.
Yeah. Seriously, this makes complete sense, Jonathan.
Oh, you're right. I'm just not thinking fourth dimensionally here. Bites off a police officer's leg, right? He doesn't kill him. He bites his leg off. He bites a couple of legs off in this movie.
Yeah.
Which, good.
Okay.
Yeah. Desk work for you. I'm sorry. Some cop out there is like, what did I ever do to you?
No cops are listening to this show. Is that when they were in the lake?
At one point, there's a bunch of boats in a lake, because it goes into a lake. And they're all just...
throwing
Oh my
explosives
God.
randomly into the water.
Yeah, this is very Jaws 1. They're tossing dynamite and... Yeah, so one guy gets his leg bit off, a boat wrecks and explodes. It's chaos. They're all unorganized, and the alligator just keeps, like, eating and then going back somewhere else, and then will, like, go hide, eat, and go back to the sewer. The big game hunter is in an alleyway with 3 dudes, and the dudes are like, we heard some roaring back there. And then he makes fun of him for not wanting to go back and fight with a 40-foot-long alligator. And the one guy follows him back only to see him get eaten because he's a dumbass. Breaks through a fence and starts heading towards the wedding. The wedding of...
Is that where we are?
Yeah.
Slade's daughter, who's getting married to the head... Wait, head Detective Madison, he already been fired?
Yes, and he goes on a date with Marissa.
I did write, when they were in his apartment, there was a poster that said Ramon Santiago on it. Go ahead.
She doesn't do anything. Her expertise never comes into play at all.
It's not her. It's the way her character was written. It's fucking horrible.
Yeah, like, when they talk about... When Hooper's talking in Jaws, like, he gives clear indication. He understands sharks. He knows what they do. He knows their patterns. And he's useful. She likes alligators. That's her character. She doesn't know anything about him. If she does, we don't know that she knows anything about
She wrote a
them.
book. She knew that he was going to go for the water. So...
What? An alligator in the water?
Here, I cannot stand the way her character was written. She just should have not even been in the movie. There should not have been a relationship, storyline at all. She was there for him. She was written to, what's the word? Just stroke his ego, be his, accessory. She's beautiful. She's supposedly smart.
She helps a little bit at the end.
She does whatever he says,
right?
And that is like the epitome of the worst female character ever written.
There's only one in the... No, there's 2. Her mom, who
talks. So obviously she's annoying.
Yeah, she talks so much.
Oh my God, I can't stand it.
She has 8 lines in the movie, but she talks so much.
Can't stand it. I noticed when I first put up the Wikipedia page, and I was like, okay, who plays Marissa, the main girl? And I'm going through the character list, and I'm like, there's no women on here. There's not a single, and
there's
it was
2.
It was near the top, and I totally missed it because it was mixed in with 20 male main character. Not main, but, negative 50 on the female spectrum.
Yeah, and then, like, before they're going on their date, he's like, well, you need to let me know right now. Like, are we going to have sex afterwards or not? Because I'm going to keep thinking about it this whole date, so you need to tell me now.
Everything he says is...
We can't go to dinner until you tell me.
Everything that he says is gross and weird, and her character is like, ha 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 ha, how charming and cute.
And she's like, okay. Yeah, like, okay, yes, we're going to have sex. So, of course, if something else happened during the date where she was like, actually, no, you can't go back.
Which is exactly what happened. Now she's already had sex with him, and they have a miserable time when they're eating, but it's too late.
Only because of him. They were fine.
Yeah.
Something happens, he's in a bad mood, and he's like, get out of here. And she's like, well, okay.
Like, she was just saying, I understand that you're probably in a lot of pain right now, and he's like, don't understand me too quick.
Yeah.
What a dickhead.
Yeah.
So now I don't like anybody except the alligator who's eating cops. He's my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah, me too.
But they add this scene in that I thought was completely unnecessary where he eats a kid in a swimming pool. That's cruel, scary, and not what this movie is. Like...
I read a lot of comments online where people were like, I saw that when I was little, or I saw that when I was younger. That would have scared the shit out of me. That scene scared the crap out of me.
That would be, because, like, you're always... And in Florida, there are gators in pools. So that is terrifying.
But you don't see a lot... I mean, at least I haven't seen a lot of horror movies where kids actually get killed.
Yeah, me neither. Don't you like that, John?
+1. No, this movie actually... I didn't like it because it didn't fit with the tone of the movie at all. It was, like... It was...
They almost treated it like...
It was a legit scary thing.
But they treated it like it was just another...
Well, that too, they immediately cut to something else. You never hear about the kid, the mom, anything else again.
Exactly. It was just an offhand
It was thrown in because Jaws had a kid get eaten by a shark. But in that movie, it was impactful. The woman's... The mother of the kid is broken. It makes Chief Brody feel bad for not doing something. It had meaning and purpose.
Yeah,
this was just... It was just in the wrong movie, I feel like. Scary. Scariest part of the movie, because the movie's not scary at all. But not necessary. This wedding scene, on the other hand, is exactly what this movie is.
I mean, I think that's the best scene. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's
not
just...
that it's supposed to be funny, but...
It's multiple people who could just leave and won't leave. Run away! Like, it's multiple people standing there while the alligator's coming near them and be like, getting smacked by the tail.
Or, like, right in the limo, the driver's just, like, watching, and the guy's like, go!
Would you start the car? He's like, oh,
you're in a vehicle, just drive.
Go.
Slowly turns the key. It's so funny. And the other thing is that guy runs up to the window, and he's like, let me in.
They won't let him in.
Okay, go somewhere else. But he stands there while the alligator's slowly approaching. He's like, help! I have nowhere else to go! Not over there, not over there. Oh my god, it's an amazing scene. You know what? Don't watch this movie. Just look up this scene on YouTube. Look up Alligator Smashes Limo. It's the best scene in the movie. After he's done wreaking havoc, he goes back to the sewer. Right? So now the plan is that David and Marissa are going to go down there. No, just David is going to go down.
Yeah, because Marissa's not down there.
Right, of course not. So he goes down by himself, where this alligator's been killing everybody the whole movie, and he's like, oh, I got it. No worries. No big deal. It won't hurt me. And he goes down to where the methane was from earlier in the movie, and his plan is to set some dynamite, get the alligator to follow him, go up out of the manhole cover, and leave. But this is also a ripoff of Chud, because the exact same thing happens in there, where they blow up methane in the sewer, and the lid has a car on top of it, and they have to move the car at the last second before there's an explosion. These movies just keep stealing and stealing. I'm not actually sure which one stole from which there, but at any rate, you know that he's not going to get out easy because there's a timer. Mm-hmm. So you're just bored because you know he is eventually going to get out.
Yes. So the very last second.
Yeah. Which, I wish that in a movie like this, where they have an explosion go off at the very last second, the character is like deaf in one ear, his leg is like burned because he didn't get away from the explosion. But no, this guy's fine, and they're like, did you find it? Yep, pieces of it. And then there's a baby alligator in the sewer, and the movie's over. Mm-hmm. Wow, riveting. Oh, I gotta give a score, don't I?
Yep.
You've been fairly quiet. You're like,
I have a little tiny bit of nostalgia for this, so that's gonna probably make my score better than it actually probably should be. I kind of like it. I don't think it's meant to be serious, but I also feel like sometimes they try to be, which is a mistake, I think. This could have been better if they would have went completely tongue-in-cheek, like across the board. And I agree with you guys that I don't like movies from this time period that are blatantly like sexist, racist, just that kind of thing. And you're supposed to be like, well, it was made back then, so that's fine. Well, I don't live back then, so it's not fine to me. I can't yell at some director from 1980s Alligator though, and be like, that was sexist, you prick. So instead I'll just give his movie a 4 out of 10. It would be lower, but I do have some nostalgia for it from watching it with my granddad, so.
Oh, that's nice.
And the wedding scene is just incredible. So.
Well, I mean, actually, it was a little bit better than I was expecting going into it. Because I was expecting to hate this movie, and it gave me entertainment anyway a little bit. It was kind of funny at parts, but it wasn't a great movie.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go with another 3.
You're giving it a 0.
What? Is that an option? No.
It is.
I thought it was going to be the so bad it's funny kind of movie.
Fucked itself up with that,
but
didn't
I
it?
feel like they were trying to make a real movie, and that just ruined it. And the wedding scene was amazing. People flying across flying across the screen. At one point, there's 2 people with cake on their face. They're just like, oh. Yeah. From a female perspective, just fuck off. Just totally fuck off.
Yep.
I'm going to... Mr. Slade, the rich, lab
Like the Monopoly guy.
was barbecuing at his own daughter's wedding. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I'm like,
so
there is
funny.
somebody
No
that
way.
rich, he is not touching anything.
And
the day
he's-
of his
Unless
daughter's
it's something
wedding.
he just really enjoys. That's
He's
his
giving
hobby.
all the people who are completely uninterested, rules on how to make a fire and
Oh
shit
my
like
God.
that. Oh my god.
It's good. I'm glad he got eaten. Yeah, anyway, okay, so I am going to give it a point for the wedding scene and a point for having a girl talking at all. So it gets a 2. Give it a 2.
This is what I expected. I didn't remember what this was like, and now I do, and I'm sorry. But like I said, just watch the wedding scene on YouTube. That's all you need. You don't need anything else from this.
Yeah.
So,
Best part.
okay, if you want to get a hold of us, facebook.com/justanotherhorrorpodcast. We are on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, iTunes. Rate, review, and subscribe.
Or we gonna sue your balls to the wall.
Twitter, just horror pod.
Instagram's just a horror pod.
All right.
Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me.